Hello. Well, enough time has now passed since COVID began ravaging our industry for analysts and forecasters to get a feel for what the near and mid-term future will look like. Or indeed, is there a future? Well, global consulting firm Accenture has just published its Commercial Aerospace Insight Survey, which provides a look into its crystal ball with the help of both data and views from industry executives. We're joined now by John Schmidt, the Senior Managing Director, Global Aerospace and Defence for Accenture, and Jeff Wayless, who is the Head of Research. Gentlemen, welcome. So let's start. You've had all these executives across the industry getting involved, but presumably they had to crawl out of a pit of gloom with so many challenges around them. What's the positivity? Is there any in that outlook?
Well, if I would go back and think about what we were seeing and hearing a year ago, it would probably be something around, shock and confusion on what was going on with the pandemic taking over the world, just 12 months ago. I think our most recent survey, the word I would use to describe is more something along optimism. Having said that, I'd also characterize it as being optimism around what would be a long haul recovery. And a third of the executives we talked about, for instance, charted that there's likely to be a further decline in wide body deliveries in 2021 versus 2020. At the same time, over 80% see the same or better in terms of deliveries for narrow bodies in comparison to 2020. So there's I think some optimism that the recovery is moving, and it's moving in the right direction. I would also say that we see some of maybe the optimism in the most recent orders that are coming through for a new aircraft, and we'll see how we continue to manage the recovery after this.
Well, naively, I kind of thought narrow bodies will be the first to recover, but I couldn't really see anybody needing more of them right now.
Well, I think what we're seeing is the steady increase in air traffic. It's well below where it was in 2019 pre-COVID, for sure. On the other hand, we see that steady increase, and we think that when you look out at somewhere around maybe 2024, so 3 years or so from now, that we will be back to relatively the same level we were to pre-COVID travel levels.
Well, can I ask about the macroeconomic challenges that we saw? What differences were there? What are those things that are keeping those executives up at night?
So it's really about the uncertainty around pandemic, and then as well the economic. When will things start improving? And those are the fundamental drivers in terms of increased travel, both from a leisure perspective and then even to some extent business travel. So those were the things that came loud and clear from the executives in terms of what was keeping them up at night.
Yeah, but cynically, I wonder how many of them were kept awake worrying about making the sustainability jumps without the available cash reserves.
In some cases, things around like agility or security, infosecurity, cybersecurity. And what we see in the survey is we asked, near term, where is your focus? And the near term focus is really still on financials and customer expectations, as you might expect coming out of the COVID experience, and even in the U.S. and with the commercial air industry with 737 and coming back to return to service. But when we ask what's going to be important in 2 years, over half of the executives we surveyed included sustainability and inclusion and diversity as two elements on almost equal footing with financial and with customer expectations. So certainly the shift is happening, and we're seeing it and hearing it in the discussions we have with our clients. We're seeing it and hearing it in the results of the survey itself.
And what about the supply chain, Jeff? What's the concerns about the supply chain coming back after so many tier 2 and 3 businesses were hit so badly or even gone out of business?
Yeah, and I think what came through loud and clear from the executives, there's still a lot of concern about their suppliers delivering on time and on quality.
And having said that, it looks like if we look at going at the survey, when we ask about what the expectations are in the longer term, next 18, 24 months, the expectations are, that this is going to improve dramatically. And I think some of that is tied to having more confidence in what the rates are, so that the planning can be, better all around and all the way down. One other thing we saw is that, consolidation is very likely to be happening in the tier 2, tier 3 levels. A lot of those companies are dealing with solvency risks right now.
John, we've talked before about the impact and focus on technology for aerospace. You've talked about artificial intelligence, blockchain, and so on, but how much has that changed now? Is technology going to be a driver for the rebound, or is it going to be pushed aside?
Well, it's going to be a driver, and it already is. If anything, I think the pandemic has acted as a catalyst for companies across the industry, including the defense side of the industry, in terms of really accelerating their digital journeys. I mean, every one of the clients that we work with is accelerating how they're looking at cloud. For instance, it wasn't too long ago that it was about a third of the companies are even thinking about cloud, and when they were thinking about it, it was in an IT-centric view. Now we have 98% of our executives we surveyed are engaged in discussions with their lines of business on how they're going to leverage cloud as a foundational technology, which then opens up opportunities to leverage data and AI and automation in new ways. So it's actually been more of a catalyst, if nothing else.
Great. John and Jeff, thank you both for joining us and giving us the insight into that positive outlook. Well, if you want to know more from different analysts and you want to see what else is going on in the industry, do go to our website, wearefin.com, and subscribe. Thank you.